Yo guys, welcome to the video. This is Josh or Milky, and in this video I'm going to make a short crafting guide for endgame items. So this is strictly for those endgame T0 items, not all T0s. I'm not talking like 5 T0s, or you could hit 5 T0s doing what I'm going to show you, but basically how you would approach crafting endgame items for most builds once you have your FE set up. Now bear in mind, it is expensive to craft in this game. You do have to use ultimate embers, and there is risk involved when you use an ultimate ember, but we'll get into the specifics of that later. I'll try and introduce methods to reduce the cost or make things easier, or to pull back on the cost a little bit to make a worse item but a more affordable one as we go. So we're going to start with a hammer. For the purposes of this video, I am on the Eternal realm, as I don't want to waste all my currency on the main realm. So pretend that this is Focus Strike. I'm going to simulate a craft for, let's say, the train hammer that I've been using, right? So for the purposes of this video, this is considered Focus Strike. Does everyone get that? And if I have to use another hammer because I brick the ultimate embers, again, the random suffix that I have T0 is Focus Strike. So that's the first thing we want to talk about. It's starting with a base. So each craft, you're going to have the mods in mind that you want. And my normal goal is to start with the hardest mod to get. So for example, with a hammer, Focus Strike is one of the few mods in the game that is more expensive to hit than others. Most things are you can see from targeted processing if I come in here. Most things in order to hit a T0 are a 1.75% chance. But if I show you Focused Strike, which is right down here, you'll see that it's 0.59. So the first thing is to understand at what point of crafting you want to get each mod. And to do that, most of the time it's not going to matter all that much. But going through this, you'll probably get a better understanding. But you can see here, Focus Strike is not something that I want to try and hit T0 for later on, as it's harder to do than, say, any other mod. Most mods follow this rule right here, where it's 1.75, 3.5, 7, all the way down to whatever. And if it can blemish, which I'll show you an example of a mod that can blemish, we'll find what we got. We've got minion skill level. So this only has 3 tiers. So everything that would have been below, so everything below 7%, you can see on this minion maximum life, tier 3, 4, 5, 6, they're all gone, and they will instead be a blemish because this affix doesn't have any tier lower than 2. So this, it has a 12% sorry, chance for you to hit it, but only like 3 or 1.75 to hit the higher ones. Hopefully that makes sense. If not, it'll be replaced with a blemish, as you can see there. So that's the first thing, what you start with. Start with the harder mods 99% of the time, unless it's too expensive, and then you can consider other methods. So the first thing, once we go into prototype crafting, this is where we're going to be able to reforge the affixes on the gear. You can lock the mod that you've decided to buy. We have one mod locked in. We can choose this mod. We've got one mod that we absolutely 100% want, and it is locked into the item. We can't lose it at this stage. So we're going to lock that mod, and we're going to re-roll for the next mods we want. Now, at this point, again, this bit's pretty much guaranteed. You can roll for any mod you like within reason with how much flame sand you have. I'm going to go for flat physical damage or percent gear physical damage or attack and cast speed and movement speed, because all these have the same weighting on targeted processing. One consideration I could make, however, is that it is more likely, very slightly, for me to hit percent gear fizz than it is for me to hit this mod here. Quite a lot more likely. So what would be good is if I roll now for this, as sand is obviously cheaper. So probably better for me to go for this physical damage mod first. So that's what we'll do. I'm going to craft, and I'm going to hit this button basically until I hit flat physical damage at tier 3 or above. You can see I hit there, but that wasn't a hybrid mod. This may take a while. So if there's a quick jump, it's because I've gone forward in time, but you'll see exactly how much flame sand it cost me if you've got a keen eye. So we'll go forward. Okay, so it didn't actually take that much. We got tier 3 physical damage to gear with 5% chance to cause knockbacks. Now you could do this until you hit tier 1 if you really wanted to. Obviously, it's going to take you a lot of flame sand. Me personally, I am way more aggressive with using this option to upgrade the modifiers than a lot of people are. You can be a bit more stingy and use more flame sand. it's not really stingy. You could be a bit more frugal, whatever word you want to use, but you can try and be a bit more cost effective. Me personally, I'll just upgrade it. It's save myself all that flame sign kicking. So I upgraded to T2, and the reason for that is I'm always going to have to pay this plasticity cost to upgrade. You can see it costs plasticity a range to upgrade a mod. So I'm going to upgrade it to T2 because it may say here that I need 35 to 65 to upgrade to tier 1, but I actually only need 1. If I have 1 left, I can still upgrade it to tier 1, and that's why I make it tier 2. And now what I'm going to reroll for is either of those other 2 mods I mentioned previously, so gear physical percent or attack and cast speed and move speed. And bear in mind, as I'm doing this, this would apply to any item you're crafting. So we're going to roll, and now it's going to put 5 mods on the item. We didn't get what we wanted. This, obviously, you could brick here. You could roll all your flame sand, never hit the mod you want, you have to start again. That's how it is. But we did hit the gear physical damage, so we'll confirm that. And now we can upgrade both of these modifiers to tier 1. Now, one thing you can do here if you want to be a bit more cost effective, or if you just want to pull back on the investment and use maybe a worse item, is upgrade both of these or roll a bit further to try and get another good mod, and that way when you ultimate Ember you don't have to do it twice, right? But what I'm just going to do is straight up upgrade both of them, and we're at this stage. We're done with prototype crafting now, completely finished with it, other than ultimate Embers. Now, how ultimate Embers work, when you click this, you have a chance to remove any of these mods. You could remove your T0 mod that you bought, you paid all those OP for, you could remove it. So it's a complete gamble. Basically, it's a 1 in 1 in 3 times a 1 in 2. So 1 in 6 bases are going to brick. It's just how it works. It's how it is. You don't have to ultimate Ember twice though. So it could just be a 1 in 3, a 1 in 2, sorry. Because if I upgrade this, there's a 50-50 chance, right? There's 2 bad mods, 2 good mods, 50-50 chance. Ideally, on a hammer like this, I'd like to remove the prefix, and then I'd consider settling because I still have that open prefix for a good modifier. I can slam on a decent suffix, and we're good. But obviously, for the purposes of the video, I will waste my ultimate Embers, probably brick the item, and have to start all over again. Here we go. We did okay. The gear fizz survived. Our focused strike survived. But we do need to remove this fire damage. So at this point, obviously, you could stop and keep going. If I do brick this, I'll probably just continue, and you can imagine what happened. But here we have a 1 in 3. We have 2 good mods, 1 bad mod. It's a 1 in 3. So here we go. I hit it. Of course, for the purposes of the video, I hit it. I've failed like 11 crafts in a row on stream today on the actual realm. But for the purposes of the video, I hit it. So here we go. Now, at this stage, you can't do any more with prototype crafting. You will want to go over to targeted processing. One thing I should mention is it doesn't cost plasticity to upgrade a mod from T1 to T0. But what it does is it reduces the plasticity on the item to 0 if you have any. But you can still use Ultimate Embers with 0 plasticity. A lot of people get tripped up by that. They think they need some plasticity to upgrade to T0. You do not. It just reduces it to 0 if you have any when you use one. Now we'll move on to targeted processing. There we go. At this point, you can choose any mod you want. So you can see so far, we've been very selective. We can choose exactly what mods we want, albeit expensive. We have chosen every single one of these mods. We got exactly what we wanted. And no point has there been any variance in what mod we choose. And there isn't going to be for the next mod either. So this next mod, we can choose exactly what we want it to be. And for the purposes of my build, it would be additional attack speed, cast speed, and move speed while channeling. So I would now craft, and I would reforge and craft over and over again until I get a tier of this modifier that I consider acceptable, or you would consider acceptable. I'll go for T0 because I'm sure people like to watch me delete FEs. It is one of people's favorite things to do on stream, and I'm sure the video people will like it too. Just keep clicking this button, and eventually a T0 will appear. It does hurt though as you watch your FEs deplete, and that this sound haunts my dreams. But I'll just click super fast, and oh, there we go, we hit it. So 4 T0s, all of these outside of the Ultimate Ember we chose. The 5th mod, however, you don't get a say in the matter what tier this is going to be. This is a complete Hail Mary, unless you have a million FEs. This is the bit where it's kind of throw caution to the wind and do whatever you like. So for me, the perfect modifier for this would be double damage. But you'll notice double damage, blemish mod, so it only has a 26% chance to put any tier of the modifier on the item. So I could end up with literally no mod here. But an alternative thing I can do is go for maybe a worse mod, but one that's guaranteed to hit, to give myself a bit of leeway. If it fails, well, if it fails or hits this 74%, for crit damage, at least that 74% is represented by something that would be an upgrade for my build. You know, 35 crit damage isn't the most, but it's better than a blemish mod. So you've got to make that decision whether you want to go, you know, all out, slam on double damage or crit damage. I'll slam on double damage. If I'm not going to redo it if I fail it, but I'll try. We blemished. It is what it is. And now we're done. You could always slam on a 6th mod if you wanted to. I'm not going to for this craft, but you could if you wanted to. So at this stage, you obviously want to Truth Ember it. Don't forget at this stage, always Truth Ember, because you can't do this after the next stage that we're going to go into. I don't have that many, so I'll just show you what it does. Basically, re-rolls the values of these. You would obviously want to Truth Ember it to be as good as possible, as you're not going to be able to come back and do this later once we do the next thing. That's as many as I have. Now, do I actually have on this character any? I don't. I'm going to have to buy some. Let's head on over to the trade house. I'm on this realm, so I don't even know if there are going to be any available, but I'll have a look. Ooh. Ooh. They're very expensive on here. Well, I'm about to make a someone playing on this realm very happy, I guess, because I do it for the video. I do it for the boys. I do it for the video. There you go. Goodbye, Effies. That'll do. That'll do. 20. Why not? So, now you have the option to Dream Interpret. You don't have to do this by any means, but there are some very, very powerful item affixes you can get on any item in the game with Dream Interpretation. For example, my hammer, I can get an additional 90% gear physical damage, which is a massive increase to my damage on my build if I was fortunate enough to get it. And we'll see what happens here. So it's going to choose one of these, and we're going to get an option to select. I got gear attack speed, upgrades the affix, and some cold damage. I don't want any of these, so I'm just going to click abandon. And that way nothing happens. My item's unchanged. I just get to go again. What has happened is I've lost readability. Readability determines how many times you can use this system, basically, on an item. The cap is 6, so you can only try this 6 times. This puts a hard cap on going for those perfect items. You do have to get a bit lucky. So we'll go again, see if we can hit it. I do want to hit something just so I can demonstrate the negative effects. What do we get? This is a very good one. Adds flat physical damage. Perfect for my build. All of this is about adding physical damage to the weapon. So that's what I'm going to do, record it. Now this would be perfect. There is an example I'd like to show. We didn't get it. So basically here, there are affixes that are going to affect the mod you have on the item. So you can see replace the number 3 affix with a blemish. The adjacent affixes are reduced by 1. Downgrades all prefixes by 1. There are tons of these, and there are some that will do nothing, right? So I only have 5 affixes on this gear. So if I get an affix here, or a mod here, that affects the 6th affix, it will do nothing. So that is the dream scenario. I want to hit my mod, and then I want to get a negative that reduces the 6th affix, because that doesn't exist. And this is what you would do as well. But for this, I don't know, we'll reduce the focus strike by 1. That actually wouldn't be a bad outcome for this item, as focus strike only has 1 tier outside of tier 0. So I would have accepted that in game had I have hit that. And there, we're almost done with our hammer. So the final thing you can do is, even after dream interpreting, you can enchant. So we can do that. We'll come on over here, and I would enchant on this % gear physical damage. And there we have a pretty decent little hammer that we cooked up pretty quickly. Obviously, it's not well defined or anything like that. It's not actually focus strike, but you can see the process. Now, this process, as I said, goes for pretty much every item you craft. For example, if we do a little thought experiment here, how I went about doing these. This item right here, I started with projectile damage. I re-rolled until I hit affliction in step 2. Then I locked projectile damage and affliction to re-roll for elemental. And then I hit my ultimate embers and slammed on cooldown recovery and energy shield. And then you can see here, this says replace the number 6 affix with a blemish. There's no blemishes on my item. That's because I only had 5 modifiers. This one is an enchant. So you can see kind of the principle there. And again, for the belt, the exact same thing. You can see where I've locked everything, replaced 6 with a blemish. I don't have a 6th modifier, so I dodged it. It kind of goes the exact same on every single one. I hope this video helps at least 5 people, because a lot of people ask me about craft. It's not particularly difficult to do once you start doing it and you realize most items go the same way, and it's just about knowing which affixes are weighted heavier or whatever. But the game does do a good job of telling you all those things if you come in here and look at the affix list. You can see all the percentages to see which order you should get those things. As a general rule of thumb, start with the hardest one, re-roll for the next hardest one, so that the 3rd modifier is relatively easy to get, and then slam on another difficult to get modifier at T0. And at that point, you will have 4 guaranteed T0s on your item, albeit your Ultimate Ember look is better than mine was today. I'm going to go watch the new episode of House of the Dragon. I hope you guys make some crazy items. Good luck with your Ultimate Embers, and I hope this video was somewhat helpful.